And Uncle Chucky, what I would like to ask you, because since we have been raising awareness about my dad's incarceration and calling for his immediate release, there have been people that have reached out to me and said, your father, if he did the crime, he needs to do the time.
And I agree. Anybody. I agree with anybody. I agree with everybody. If you do the time, if you do the crime, you should do the time. But what's fit? I mean, if you do something wrong, you're supposed to suffer the consequences and etc. But does selling drugs take your whole life away from you? Or something that you don't put? I didn't put a gun to nobody's head and say, "Hey, buy this," or hurt anybody. If you choose to hurt yourself, it's like alcohol. Then alcohol is in the streets, and they've been selling. Even marijuana now legal. You know why? Because they're not forcing you to do it. It's your choice. Whatever your choice. So why should my brother be incarcerated for the rest of his life for a choice that I made for myself? If he was selling drugs and I was to purchase the drug from him, I'm doing that to myself. He's not forcing me to do that. He's not doing anything that I feel like any drug conviction. This is my own belief. I believe like any drug conviction, if you're convicted of a drug crime, the maximum you should be able to do is 10 years maximum. And that you should learn. If you don't learn in 10 years about what they don't want or what, because what I found out throughout my incarceration, it wasn't about the drugs, it was about the taxation the government couldn't do. They couldn't tax the drug. So I had to go to jail, and I always said, when I used to sell marijuana back in the day when I was like 16 and 17, that one day marijuana is gonna be legal. Now that they found the way to tax marijuana, is legal in a whole lot of states, So I just don't feel like no drug offender should do a life sentence no matter what, unless it's a body involved, somebody died or something like that, or you got into a shootout with somebody and you killed them because of drugs or something to that extent. Then that's a different story. But my brother haven't had as much as a fist fight in his whole life, and he's sitting there in prison in a penitentiary at that. To answer your question, yes, you should be able to do time for the crime that you commit, but that's not committing a crime worth doing death. I've seen so many people with child molestation, rape, murder, and everything else. These gang bangers now that's getting out with this new thing called the First Step. My brother should be home. He need to be home. He's not a violent person. He's got a loving heart, and hey, he made mistakes. We all have. We all made mistakes at one point or another in our life, and I think he paid for his mistake and paid for a whole lot for whatever he done wrong. And I don't think he deserved life, and I think he need to come home to his family.